words have power because we are kings and our words matter. There is going to be a resurrection of the dead in the end, where those who are dead, their bodies that are buried in the grave or wherever, will be raised up. They'll be given a new body, an incorruptible body, a body that cannot die, so that they can live forever. Only when that happens, redemption is complete.
You are my hiding place. You always fill my heart with song of deliverance. Whenever I am afraid, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. Let the weak say I am strong in the strength of the Lord. I will trust in you. I will trust in you. Say it. Let the weak say I am strong in the strength of the Lord. I will trust in you. I will trust. We will trust in you, Lord. We are strong. In the strength of the Lord, I will trust in you. I will trust in you. Let the weak say I am strong in the strength of the Lord.
The Gospel according to John, chapter 14, verses 1 to 3. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. This passage tells me that God loves us so much that He wants us to be where He is forever and ever. He loves us so much that He wants us to be where He is, along with Him. He doesn't want us to be in one place and Him in another place. He wants us to be together with Him forever and ever. Now that's an amazing thought. It shows what God's love is for us and what He has planned for us and purposed for us in the future. Jesus has been with these disciples, and now He's coming to the end of His earthly life. He's going to go to the cross and die. And He's been talking about His death on the cross. And the disciples are very concerned. They are actually troubled in their hearts. They have to now face the reality that Jesus is not going to be there with them, and that He's going to accomplish His work and go on. So they're troubled, and therefore he says, let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. Now, this is referring to heaven. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I'll come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. So he's talking about how he's preparing a place for us, and he's going to come and take us so that forever we will be with him. If we're going to go there and be with God forever and ever, then we should be very curious about what it's all about. Last week I told you why many times people don't touch upon heaven that much. But I believe that if we truly believe that we are going to go, then we'll be interested in knowing more about the place we're going to go. Now, these days you find a lot of people moving from our country to another country, totally migrating and going some other place. Now, when a person decides to do that, you will notice that that person becomes very interested in the place that he is going to go to. All of a sudden, he is trying to go and search all the sources to find out what kind of country he's going into. How big is that country? How many people are there? What kind of job opportunities are there? Is it good for his children, for his family, for his future? What is their system of life there? Is it a democracy, or what kind of thing is there? Political system is there, and so on. He begins to explore all kinds of things. He becomes very interested, because he's going to spend maybe entire life there, or many years in a career there. He's interested in the place that he's going to go to. If he's not interested, you'll start wondering about that person. It's natural to be interested like that. But these days you find Christians who are not interested in heaven. I sometimes wonder if they really believe they're going to go to heaven. Because if they really believe they're going to go to heaven, and that's where they're going to be for the rest of their life, they'll be truly interested in heaven, wanting to know where they're going to go, what kind of place that is, what their life is going to be like, what their future holds for them, and so on. Now, I really believe that I'm going to go one of these days. Not right away. But certainly one of these days, I'm going to make the move. And I'm sure that all of us who are born on this earth, we're going to make that grand move one day. One final move is yet to come. That we're going to go from this life to that life, from this place to that place called heaven. So we must be interested in understanding what this heaven is all about. Now, I began to talk about heaven last week. Actually, last week I finished by talking about how heaven is a place of rejoicing. Because there's a lot of wrong ideas about heaven. The devil has spread a lot of wrong ideas about heaven on this earth. And so people misunderstand heaven, have a lot of misunderstanding about heaven. So in order to understand heaven, you really have to understand what it's all about. So I want to share with you some information that will be helpful to you and become the basis for what I'm going to be sharing with you in the days to come. When we talk about heaven, that place, what are we talking about? Where is that place? What kind of place is that? What are we referring to? You'll be interested to know that when we talk about heaven, we are talking about eternal heaven, the place where we be with God forever. What is that place? See, when we die now, we go to heaven. But the heaven that we'll spend our time throughout all eternity is going to be what is called the new earth. Actually, God is going to take this earth and literally turn it around and make it a new earth, so that heaven itself descends upon this earth. After this earth is cleansed of all the evil effects of sin, and when it's made new, that heaven itself will descend upon this earth, and that God and man will live upon this earth forever and ever. It'll be called the new earth. Now the Bible talks about new heaven and new earth. Let me read to you from Revelation chapter 21, the first 3 verses. Chapter 21 and 22 are very significant chapters in Revelation, last 2 chapters. See, the Bible can be outlined like this. The first 2 chapters are the past. Chapter 3 of Genesis to Revelation 20 is the present. Chapters 21 and 22 of Revelation is the future. So you have the past, present, and future. First 2 chapters, Genesis 1 and 2, is about the original earth and man as he was made in the image and likeness of God. The earth as it was before the fall took place and ruined it. That's why those 2 chapters are very important. I concentrate a lot on those 2 chapters because that tells me what God's original plan and idea was about man and this earth and so on. The last 2 chapters are very important also because that tells me how God, who's a great redeemer and is able to redeem. He's not a God who loses everything, and he's not a loser, he just stands and watches, my God, what has happened, what a mess. I can't do anything, No, he's able. He's a great God, mighty God. He can redeem, he can save. So from chapter 3 of Genesis all the way to Revelation 20 is this saga of redemption, the story of redemption told so wonderfully through the people of Israel, through the coming of Jesus Christ, through the New Testament church and so on. This entire story of redemption is told there, how God saves and takes the people, claims the people back to himself. And then 21 and 22 are important because it talks about how the God even renews the earth, not just man who was taken from the earth. See, man was taken from the earth. Therefore, because man is taken from the earth, he is made for the earth, literally. Earth and him can never be separated. We have a special connection with this earth. Our body came from this earth. We were taken out of this earth. So we will always stay attached to the earth. So God cannot afford to lose this earth. God cannot say, well, this earth is messed up. Everything is dirty. It's all ruined. What I did has been ruined by the fall of man. So I'm going to destroy this earth and be done with it. No. He's going to make a new earth. Because earth is very important. Because man was taken from the earth and he belongs to this earth. He is made for this earth. If he is to be there forever, then the earth has to be there forever. Therefore, the chapter 21 and 22 tells us the story of how man and the earth are totally renewed and made new and put back together. So this is a wonderful story. 3-point outline there. Past, present, and future. Very easy to divide it. First 2 chapters, last 2 chapters, and then all the rest of the chapters in between. Now, most of the time, you'll find people talking about from the 3rd chapter to the 20th chapter of Revelation. 3rd chapter of Genesis to 20th chapter of Revelation. Because we are in the present, we are concerned mostly about the present. But you cannot understand the present without understanding the past. Really. How we were originally made, how the earth was originally made. What was God's idea, what was God's plan. If you don't understand the past and the original purposes of God, you cannot understand where we are today, how much we are messed up, and what needs to be changed, how we have gone wrong. And you cannot understand what kind of change must come in the end to really complete this redemption, so that this redemption is total and complete, so that everything is restored. So you cannot just talk about the present, like some people say, well, we are in the present now, we are in this earth, let's forget about the past. That is the first 2 chapters. Let's forget about the future, the last 2 chapters. Let's talk about the present, they say. I'm ready to talk about the present. I talk about the present a lot also. But you have to talk about the present in light of the past and in light of eternity, which is the future. You cannot understand the present and have light about the present without being enlightened about the past and the future. So Revelation 21, verse 1 onwards. We read, now I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. Notice that. Also there was no more sea. Then I, John, saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself will be with them and be their God. So, it's talking about how earth is going to be renewed. The first heaven, first earth, and earth will pass away, and something new is going to happen. That the new Jerusalem, the holy city, is going to come down from heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And the voice from heaven said, the tabernacle of God is with men. That is, God is going to dwell with men. And he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. So when we talk about living in heaven and being in heaven, we are talking about this heaven. First, we go there to that heaven, the present heaven. But then, the eternal heaven is about the new earth being made by God, where that heaven that God has prepared there will descend down into this earth. And the new earth will be there. And that is where we will live forever and ever with God. This is what is going to happen. When is that going to happen? There is going to be a resurrection of the dead in the end, where those who are dead, their bodies that are buried in the grave or wherever, will be raised up. They'll be given a new body, an incorruptible body, a body that cannot die, so that they can live forever. Only when that happens, redemption is complete. That's why in the Gospels we read, when all these things happen, Jesus talks about the signs of the end times. He says, when all these things happen, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. Have you ever read that? Have you ever wondered, what is it talking about? I thought redemption has already come. If you read Ephesians 1:7, it says, you have redemption. There it says, you have redemption. Here it says, your redemption is coming. Watch out. Look up. It's coming. Has the redemption come? Is it complete, or is yet to be completed? Well, certain things about the redemption have been complete, but the redemption in total is not complete yet. It is going to be completed only when the bodily redemption is accomplished, where our body becomes a body that cannot die, incorruptible body, then only the redemption is complete. That is why it says, when the end time signs happen, look up, because your redemption draweth nigh. It's near. It's going to happen. Your bodily redemption is going to happen. If you read Romans chapter 8 from verse 18, 19 onwards, all the way to verse 23 or so, it's talking about how the whole earth is in a birth pang, so to speak. It's in a birth pang, as if a child is ready to give birth to a child, deliver any time. Because the earth is waiting and agonizing for the day which will bring about her redemption. The earth has been ruined also. Man's sin, since man and earth are joined together. They're together. Have you ever noticed that we are standing on this earth? We're not flying around. You got to come down. You got to stand. You got to be here, see. Wherever you came from, that is where you stay attached to. Otherwise, you cannot live. The trees were made from the earth. They came from the earth. Therefore, they stay attached to the earth. The moment you uproot the tree, it begins to lose its life. It begins to die, because it has to stay rooted in the earth to remain alive, because that's where it came from. Fish came from the waters. When God made them, he made them from the waters. So the fish must stay in water in order to stay alive. When it comes out of the water, it dies, because it's come out of the realm from which it was made. Whatever you are made from, that's what you stay with. So man's body came from the earth, his spirit came from God. So man is attached in two places. He's hooked up to two things. One, this earth, and another is God. He's got to stay hooked to God, and he's got to stay hooked to earth. Forever it has to be this way, no other way. He cannot be floating around. So the idea that heaven is a place where we float like cotton candy, in the cloud, like some soft little bubble, floating somewhere as souls. That is not heaven, Man has got to be rooted in God and on this earth, because he came from this earth and his spirit came from God. He's got these two connections. The two connections must be there, maintained forever. So that is why God is going to make a new earth, and he's going to come down and live there so that he'll be their God, and that earth will be his dwelling place. Because man has got to stay hooked to the earth as well as to God. Now, so resurrection is going to happen for the body. That will complete the redemption. But yet, just with the resurrection of the human body, the redemption is not complete. The resurrection must happen, a sort of a resurrection must happen for the earth also. The earth has to be made new. Then only the redemption is complete, so that all things are made new. Everything is made new. Now, this is the total scheme of God. This is the way things are going to happen, and this is the way God has planned everything. Now, there's a lot of confusion about what happens after we die. Last week I started talking about how heaven is a place of rejoicing and so on, how, there's opinion out there in the world that they represent heaven as if it's a boring place. Have you ever noticed that, that you're going to be there and you're going to be in a kind of a half-asleep state, or a sleeping state or a coma state, that you don't know what's happening, you're just there and you just exist like that forever. That's not so. Have you ever heard of people talking about soul sleep? They talk about soul sleep. What they mean is when you die, your body is buried in this earth. What happens to your soul? Your soul enters into a kind of sleep, they say. Where do they get that idea, sleep? Because the Bible talks about people who are dead as people who are sleeping. Have you ever read that? In Daniel chapter 12, it talks about the dead as those who sleep. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13, it talks about, I don't want you to grieve about those who are sleeping, he says. Paul is referring to those who are dead. It's a euphemism for death. It's not saying the dead people are sleeping. It's saying the people are dead, and it's another way to say it, that's all. Instead of saying, don't be so grieving about, don't be grieving like the world about the people who have passed away and are dead. It says, don't be grieving about the ones that are asleep. That expression is about death. It's not saying that dead people are asleep. It's just saying that people are dead. It's another way of saying that people are dead. But they have taken that and they have gone, really to the extreme. Some people have taken that and said, well, the dead people are sleeping. Read the Bible. It says they are asleep. Those that are asleep. Those that are asleep. No, it says those that are dead. That's the way you should read it. It's just using language in that way. It's very clear. It's talking about those that are dead. Now, so people are not in a sleepy state or in a coma state, in a state where they don't know anything. They're just floating around. Their souls are simply in an unconscious state. The Bible clearly says that the person who's dead, his body is buried, but the person stays alive. The person is conscious as ever before, and even more conscious than ever before. Even though he does not have a body, he is a person, and he stays conscious. Look at the scripture, and the way it talks about it. In Ecclesiastes 12:7, I don't want to read everything, but you can note it down. Ecclesiastes 12:7 says that when we die, our body returns to the dust where it came from. Our spirit returns to God from whom it came, right? So there is a split that happens there. When a person dies, the body is returned to the dust. Why? Because it was taken from the dust. And the spirit returns to God because God gave the spirit, right? And the spirit returns to God, it says. And that spirit, that person is a spirit, you see. He returns to God. He's not dead. He's not dead. He's not sleeping. Only the body is in that condition. Only the body is not awake. Only the body is dead. He is out there with God.
You're more than enough. You're more than enough. You are El Shaddai, the God of plenty, the all-sufficient one, Lord Almighty. You are more than enough. Oh, say you're more than enough. You're more than enough. You're more than enough. You are El Shaddai, the God of plenty, the all-sufficient one, God Almighty. You are more than enough. Lord, you're wonderful in counsel. You're wonderful. You are excellent in working. You're excellent. You are mighty to deliver. You're mighty. Glory be to God forevermore. Let's sing that again. Lord, you're wonderful. Lord, you're wonderful in counsel. You're wonderful. You are excellent in working. You're excellent. You are mighty. You are mighty. Oh, we give you all the glory, Lord. Glory be to God forever. Let's lift up our voices. Say, you're more than enough. You're